When did it become acceptable to be a toy collector? Wasn't 20 years ago, but more so now. And then linked into it is this sort of emotional connection that toys collecting because of my childhood, because of the memories. What could the future of toy collecting when this generation seems to be less and less playing with toys? This is an interesting one. This keeps me up at night. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I'm 52 years old, 53 in 6 weeks, and I lived through the 70s, 80s, and a little bit of the 90s in terms of my toys. All right. And those toys in those eras were very tactile. They were physical artifacts, and it was physical play, and it was rash and bash, and it was display. It was throw them out the windows, make little zip lines. Oh, every one of you made a zip line from your bedroom window down to the garden. I know you did. And so now that I'm older and I pine after those beautiful times as a child, it is very obvious how I recapture all of that. I go and get the things. I go and buy the artifacts. Those artifacts are physical and people exchange them. As we step down and go down a generation. Now remember, generational gaps are usually marked in 15-year jumps. So I've got friends who are 35 who are like big into the Turtles and sort of late 80s, early 90s. And then you go down, my son Sam, he's 22. He's starting to get nostalgia. Slight early shoots, nothing big, of things like Crazy Bones, Match Attacks, a little bit of Phineas and Ferb, Cars, Pixar cars, and Ben 10. So I think Ben 10 will be a next resurgence. I think we'll see a new Ben 10 era. So that's early 2000s of like toys, because it was still toys then. You go down a little bit step from that generation, though. We're now moving into something different. We're moving more into video games. And, when you look at the Gen A, Gen Zs, or I say Gen Z, Gen As, their nostalgia when they hit 30, which is usually the prime time when people get really nostalgic because you have disposable income, you can do something about it, and you realize that your 20s are gone, you're kind of getting old, and it's a little not as good as you thought it was going to be. Those people are going to be like Minecraft and YouTube and Sidemen and all those sort of more digital stuff, and like Nintendo and things. And we had, my generation, we had NES, we had Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, but it was in conjunction with physical stuff. What does that look like? What does that look like when they're in 15, 20 years' time, when they're being nostalgic and rebuying? What are they buying? How are they capturing nostalgia if it's digital? Is it all just digital? Is it just emulators on their phones? Or do they want artifacts? Because they haven't experienced as many artifacts. And I only see that getting less artifactual, if that's the word. I have this opinion where it's like, I think preschool will stay very toyetic because the parents are buying it and they're in charge, and they're still of a generation where artifacts were important to them. And then there's the kids sort of come out of that when they sit sort of 5, 6, and they're kind of more into video games and sports and iPads and digital stuff. And then they come back in as collectors nowadays. But like in the future, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what toys mean in 20 years' time. Will it change? Yes, I think it will. Will it fade away? No, I think it will kind of just evolve. And you got to remember is that these are important to us because they meant something. It doesn't matter that these won't be important, or maybe as important to Gen A's, because it's not important to them at the moment. Minecraft and YouTube is the important thing. But at the end of the day, they will find their nostalgia. They will find ways to collect and reconnect with their childhood, guaranteed, because it's a human need, it's a human want and a human desire that does it. And that doesn't change, I believe. It may slightly realign and evolve a little bit, but I think fundamentally the reason we collect, the ABCs, achievement, belonging, control, remains the same. So I don't know the answer to your question, to that bit, to the top bit where it's when was it acceptable? It's always acceptable. What are you talking about? It's always acceptable. It's always cool. No, it wasn't. When I started collecting like the early 90s, it was very odd. People were like, what, why are you getting toys? You're like 20. Like, what are you doing? But as I kind of got my job in 99 and sort of, I would probably say early 2000s when Geek Chic, all that came in. And I think, sort of blind bags and Pokemon cards and that sort of thing came in, and it was kind of cool to be geeky. And like now it's like, it's rad. It's rad to be a toy collector now. How long will it last? I don't know about that one. I don't know. Forever, I hope. It kind of will. I think it's zeitgeist now. I think it's just in the culture. Collecting and reminiscing and nostalgia is just kind of cool. Anyway, that's my opinion on that one. That's less of an answer and more of an opinion.